On Tech News Today, Facebook gets hammered by government requests for user data again. Plus, someone finally creates a Star Trek communicator. You can pre-order it today. A new report says the Apple Watch is going to be more expensive than you thought. Spotify is clobbering iTunes in Europe, and Google Wallet is on the rise. You won't believe why. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, November 5th, 2014. This episode is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, and other Apple products are worth at Gazelle.com. Tech News Today is a show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. Welcome to the show. I'm Mike Elgan, and good morning, Anthony Nielsen.
Morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing really great now. Sorry about that long-winded conversation before the show began. We were talking about Google Inbox. I love it. Jordan Novet is going to be in the show later. Tried it. Have you tried it by any chance?
I gave it like half a day, and then I don't know. It annoyed me that I couldn't like get my work email to work and my personal. So hearing you, I'll give it another shot. Yeah, give it another shot. It is annoying because you can't use Google Apps. You can't use certain types of email. I think that eventually my prediction is that it will replace Gmail as an app. Right. But I think they've got a long way to go before that. I mean, Gmail itself was in beta for 5 years, wasn't it? So we'll see how it goes. But I love it. I think it takes 2 or 3 days to really get used to it. And once you do get used to it, it's really, really powerful, at least in my experience so far. So we'll keep you all posted with that. And let me know if you change your tune on it. Because, again, I think it takes a couple of days. Will do.
So before we get into the news, there's a kind of a weird thing that I noticed in the news today, which is that the Samsung Galaxy S6, which of course is going to be the next big flagship Samsung smartphone, is codenamed, according to reports, Project Zero. Now, the reason this is interesting to me is that Samsung has notoriously bland code names. They codename things after a letter, like Project K or Project J, stuff like that. And here they have a Project Zero, which suggests to me that they have decided that they are in big trouble, being squeezed at the high end by Apple and squeezed at the low end by all manner of Chinese companies, and also LG, another Korean company. And so they are ready to zero-base the whole concept and start from scratch. The rumors are that they're going to go all metal in the future. Lots of rumors flying around this, but Project Zero, I think, is telling about their mindset, about what's at stake for them to continue to dominate the smartphone market. So we'll keep an eye on that. Well, we had a late-breaking story. Germany's biggest newspaper publisher, which is called Axel Springer, and which publishes Europe's top-selling newspaper, which is called Bild, has surrendered in its battle with Google, sort of. The publisher was one of many such companies across Europe demanding that Google pay licensing fees for showing more than just headlines and links to the publisher's newspaper articles. In a trial, Axel Springer and 200 other German publishers took advantage of a European law allowing them to opt out, allowing Google to show summary content and pictures in search results. In other words, they said, okay, Google, we're not going to allow you to show the summary content or the pictures, just the headlines and the links. The publisher then suffered inevitable and catastrophic declines in traffic for 2 weeks and are now ready to go back to the way things were. During the trial, overall search traffic dropped 40% and traffic from Google News dropped 80%. The publisher claims the experiment proves Google's dangerous monopoly power. Well, Facebook said in a blog post yesterday that requests by government for user information rose by about 24% in the first half of 2014 over the same period last year. In the first 6 months of this year, governments asked Facebook for data 34,946 times. During the same period, the types of data restricted, because of various local laws, increased by about 19%, according to Facebook. The post said that Facebook is, quote, aggressively pursuing an appeal to a higher court to invalidate these sweeping warrants and to force the government to return the data it has seized. Jeff John Roberts writes for GigaOM and joins us now. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Mike. Good to be here.
Now, it seems like every report like this shows big jumps in such requests. Are individual governments increasing the number of requests, or are more governments getting into the act?
It's hard to say. I wish the companies would provide more information about this, because it's very easy to write an alarmist headline, hey, surveillance jumps. Surveillance is always jumping. But the other thing that's happening is more people are coming online and more people are using Facebook and Google. The really granular data is for the US, And I mean, I think there is cause to worry. It's not good that the government's all up on our Facebook and Google. But when you see those numbers, also, there's sort of some context missing, in my opinion.
Now, you suggested that Facebook is becoming an increasingly popular target for data requests. Do you think there's something to that beyond just the growing popularity and usage of Facebook?
I think there is something in that. That's one thing that did caught my eye. I mean, there's so many of these reports coming out, and it's a good thing, but it's hard to know what to make of them. But Facebook, the amount of interest that the feds have gotten to it through the Patriot Act suggests to me that it's a particularly rich trove of information. I don't know. And Facebook can't really discuss it because there's a lot of gag orders with these things. But it makes sense because if you can get someone's Facebook information, that's going to yield a lot more data than their iTunes account. But that's just speculation on my part.
Now, most of this is for criminal cases, right? This isn't all counterterrorism or anything like that, is it?
No, it's not that dramatic. But Facebook's doing a pretty good job, as is Google, of breaking it down. You can get some clues: subpoenas, search warrants, national security letters, and FISA requests. And all this stuff is pretty abstruse. But the last ones you want to watch for, that word FISA requests, that's the serious terrorist stuff. It comes with a gag order. It's probably the NSA, and we're not going to know very much more than that. But see that number there on the right, over 5,000. They can only report it in a band like that. They can't give you an exact amount. But that, I think, is illustrative of how interested the NSA is in Facebook content. Because, I mean, heck, ISIS is probably using it, so there's probably some reason to go after it. But so much of it is shrouded in secrecy and gag orders, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on.
Now, the report specified a 19% increase in the content restricted because of local laws. What are they talking about there?
I read that as being censorship. Once again, the way they break it down is how many times the government's coming for your data. Another one is how often are there orders to take stuff down. And that, I assume, in America, it's often copyright. Other countries, it's blasphemy or whatever the government du jour makes up. I mean, in Russia, Putin's probably like, he doesn't like anti-Putin stuff. There's, you know, so that's what I think they're talking about. And it would be nice to see a few more examples. But I think as governments come attuned to how powerful Facebook is as a communication platform, they're obviously going to start regulating it some more.
Now, how much do we know about Facebook's approval or denial of such requests, both the criteria that they use and also the frequency with which they do deny requests?
I think they actually provide the numbers to their credit. They say they comply with about 80%. And, you know, you can't really blame Facebook for that because if you have a court order to do something, they have to do it. But they are pushing back. And that case in New York is sort of a sleeper that's really one to watch. And that's about how often the government can come in and grab like hundreds of requests en masse and what level of government. I mean, if the NSA is doing it, they're probably frying some big fish. But when it's your county cops, you have to wonder too. So that's more of the stuff's going to emerge, and these reports are helpful in doing it. So there's some court cases going on too where we're going to learn more. But otherwise, if we're not careful, just sort of munges together into this, oh my God, the government's coming for our social media. But these sort of specific details are starting to prove useful for what exactly is going on.
Now, in the post, I quoted it in the blurb there at the beginning of this segment. Facebook said that they're aggressively pursuing an appeal to a higher court to invalidate these sweeping warrants, et cetera, et cetera. Are they talking about a specific case where they're trying to go out to invalidate the ones that they think are sweeping, or are they calling all or most of these sweeping and trying to invalidate all or most of these?
Facebook deserves some credit here, and this is they're targeting one test case that I think they're hoping will kind of shut down this practice. And the case is about a bunch of city workers in New York who scammed the disability system. So it's a big scandal in New York. Hundreds of these people, you know, colluded with doctors and built the system for millions and millions. So in the course of investigating this, the state of New York, to prove these people weren't actually disabled, they were out skiing and doing karate and stuff, Facebook came in with a warrant and said, give us all the data for, I'm sorry, the investigators came to Facebook and said, give us all the data for these hundreds of people at once. And that's where Facebook said, hey, wait a minute, you can't simply come in and scrape everything we have. You need to do it more specifically. So that's what this is about. I mean, suppose, I don't know, Tech News Today crowd were up to something suspicious and someone wanted to investigate. Could they come in and grab everyone's Facebook in one fell swoop? Or would they have to do it, you know, sort of one by one thing, challenge Mike's account, then challenge Anthony's account, then challenge my account, which is traditionally how it's done. You can't simply go and fish for everything. So that's what Facebook is doing here. And that's why that case is really one to watch going forward.
In my experience, authorities, including law enforcement, always looks at new technologies as opportunities to overstep the boundaries that were applied to the old technologies. And I think this is just yet another case. They figure, well, hey, it's a new world. We might as well just grab everything we can, at least until we're shut down by the courts and so on. So hopefully Facebook will prevail and all this will be sorted out in the public interest. Jeff John Roberts is at gigohm.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at Jeff John Roberts. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks. Well, in just a minute, we're going to tell you about a new gadget that will remind you of one of your favorite TV shows. But first, I'm going to tell you about Gazelle. You know, the truth is that we all love these things, smartphones. They are wonderful. We love them. We use them every day. We use them all day. But the fact is they're horrible for the environment. They're filled with toxic chemicals. They're filled with all kinds of things that have to be, ultimately, they're going to die eventually, and they have to be broken down. There's no way, really, to build a environmentally friendly smartphone. The only environmentally smart phone there is the one that is never manufactured. And that's why you should use Gazelle, because it's good for the environment. Instead of somebody out there someday buying a brand new phone requiring it to be manufactured, they can buy the one that you've got sitting around in a box. That smartphone or those smartphones or those tablets you've got lying around the house, those are theoretically damaging the environment because they're not being added back into the system. And that's what Gazelle will do. They'll take your device, they'll refurbish it, and they'll put it into the hands with somebody who will love it as much as you did, and thereby prevent somebody from ultimately buying a brand new phone. That's why you should use Gazelle. Just go to the Gazelle website, GAZELLE.com. No, I'm serious. Do it right now. GAZELLE.com. Find the device you've got sitting around, indicate the condition, whether it's broken, good, or flawless, and then they'll show you an amount. It's going to be more, I can almost guarantee it's going to be more than you think it will be, that they'll pay you. And then you just click Get Paid. And then what you do is just continue through the process, and you'll end up with a box in the mail. You put your device in the box, you put the sticker on the outside of the box, and you send it back, and you get paid fast by PayPal or by check. Or if you use the Amazon gift card option, you get an extra 5%. But again, you know, it's fast, it's easy, it's a lot of money. But it's also really good for the environment because you want to get those devices back into circulation while they're still not that old and while they still can be used, and somebody's going to get many more years out of it. And that, again, is good for the environment. So find out what your iPhone is worth. Take a minute and go to gazelle.com to find out. A company called OnBeep has created what is essentially a Star Trek communicator. The $99 wearable device they're calling the Onyx offers push-to-talk communication with other people who also happen to be Onyx users. The device connects via Bluetooth to the user's smartphone, which handles the internet connection. An iOS or Android app can also show other people on a map and to see who's talking at any given moment. Battery life is about 12 hours. The Onyx is now available for pre-order. Jordan Novet writes for VentureBeat and joins us now to talk about it. Welcome to you, Jordan.
Thanks, Mike.
Now, you tried the Onyx personally. What'd you think?
I want one. I want to talk with a whole bunch of people on it when I'm volunteering or something else where other people need to talk with me, and see how it works and see how it's much better than a walkie-talkie, and also check my phone to see who's talking and who's where.
Now, obviously, you can do this kind of thing with a smartphone. There's a small inconvenience with pulling your smartphone out, turning it on, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, the Onyx is intended to solve that problem. Does it solve any other problem? I mean, what problems does this product solve?
It's not always on. Actually, there are some tools that I've heard about actually from Jesse Robbins, the founder, where if you're on a motorcycle, it's constantly listening for cues. Almost like if you have an Android phone, if you say, okay, Moto X, for example, if you have Moto X, it'll start taking voice recognition. But this only takes in information when you want it to. You just press the button and it starts broadcasting what you have to say. And also, it looks cool.
Yeah. Are you a Star Trek fan? I'm with the little Federation logo shaped one. You know,
this is different. This looks more like a nest or something. It's not exactly what you'll see on Star Trek.
It should also display your temperature. That's a little big. Don't you think it's a little bit too big and a little bit sticking out too much?
Well, I think if you are a firefighter or a person who is expected to, or is expecting a walkie-talkie, you want something that's not just going to fall out, something really flimsy. And also, I think there's something very transparent about a bigger device like this. It's like, yeah, I am doing something. It's not some random little microphone or a dinky camera. It is something else. And that is an indicator of the fact that this is something kind of different from other wearable devices.
Now, you said something interesting in your article. You said that they spent a lot of time on the clip itself, the physical clip. Now, why? Now, this is I think this is an important point for wearable computing. People always say, "Oh yeah, wearable devices are going to be everywhere. They're going to be all over your body." But then, when it comes down to actually attaching it to your body, that's going to be an issue. Now, why was the clip such a big deal?
Well, there are men who want to wear this thing, and there are women who want to. And okay, if you are a woman, you probably don't want to have the wearable weigh so much that it droops the shirt down. And men, on the other hand, don't want it to fall off wherever it might be hanging off of, like a jacket or a bag. So it needs to be sturdy as well. And to balance those things was actually really hard. And what I heard is it took 6 months for them to go through a bunch of designs and then change the material actually that it's made out of and change the shape to finally arrive at something that was sturdy but also lightweight. And that's showing how much they really wanted to succeed. It might feel like it's just plastic and not metal, and some people might not like that, but actually it's practical. And maybe the function of it is what is more important. That's a...
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree
that the startup's going to ask me why I said that, but I think, hey, if you want people to use it, it's got to work first.
Exactly. Well, I agree with you about the function. My own view about this is essentially that this is a feature and not a product. Ultimately, all this stuff, of course, is going to become miniaturized. Any sort of capability this thing is going to have will be replicable and built into other products that people are going to be using anyway. For example, a smartwatch is a perfect place to have this kind of functionality. So is smart glasses. Any other sort of, you know, I think that what's going to happen in the wearable world is the same thing that happened in the smartphone world, which is everything's going to be coalesced and sort of brought into the single device instead of having a bazillion different devices. But I could be completely wrong about that. But you seem to like the standalone product itself, right?
Give it a chance. Try it out. We're going to try it out.
Okay. I also would recommend to the company that they open it up so that people who don't have the physical hardware can also use it. So, for example, right now, you have to, you need, if you're going to talk to 3 people, those other 3 people need to have the physical hardware. Wouldn't it be great if people could just have the app and you could have the hardware and interact with them? That would be a kind of a neat feature, and I think it would drive a lot more adoption, personally.
We'll see what they do. I know they want to do more with the actual data while being respectful of security concerns. They want to figure out ways to maybe prioritize the person who's speaking most or least. And you might have certain advantages from using the actual hardware to do that. I'm not sure, but they're smart guys. So stay tuned to see whether they evolve more toward using the phone or if they're going to really focus on the hardware that they've built and other devices that they might make in the future.
We certainly will. Stay tuned, and thank you for coming on the show. Jordan Novet is at venturebeat.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at Jordan Novet. Thank you so much for joining us, Jordan.
Thanks, Mike. Catch you later.
All right. Well, when Apple announced its Apple Watch recently, they said the wearable would start at $349. We've all sort of attached ourselves to that price point. That's the cost of the watch. Well, not so fast. That's assumed to be the base price for the Apple Watch Sport, which is an aluminum, or as Johnny Ive says, aluminium, version of the watch that doesn't even have a sapphire display. But now a French website called iGen says the stainless steel with sapphire version, simply called the Apple Watch, may start actually at $500, and that the gold version, called the Apple Watch Edition, could cost between $4,000 and $5,000. The good news is that Apple is still shooting for a Valentine's Day release. The information comes from unnamed sources by iGen. Spotify revenue is now higher than iTunes revenue, at least in Europe. The milestone was reported by Cobalt, a company that helps artists collect music royalties. In July, August, and September, Spotify revenues were 13% higher on average than those from iTunes, according to the company. A new Twitter interface app for iOS called Hash filters out all the noise and chatter and shows you only the most talked about tweets about the most newsworthy events. It was created by a former Twitter developer, and you don't even need to be logged in to use it, although it does request a login when you start using it in order to retweet or comment easily. The tweets around each topic are anchored by a Wikipedia entry so you can get your mooring about what the whole story is all about. Well, a report on Ars Technica says that Google Wallet transactions have gone up by 50% in the last 2 months and that users have nearly doubled. The article suggested that the hype around Apple Pay caused the growth, ironically. Well, in an update we reported recently on Xiaomi's rapid rise to become the world's third largest smartphone maker by market share after Samsung and Apple, of course. Now the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Xiaomi is highly profitable as well, with their revenue doubling last year. The paper said Xiaomi's profits rose by 84% last year to about $570 million. In recent years, only Apple and Samsung have made significant profits. In other news, Microsoft paid CNN commentators to use Microsoft Surface tablets in a cable news product placement for last night's election coverage. But some talking heads were caught using the Surface simply to prop up or hide their iPads. Inevitable, Microsoft. It's going to happen. Well, at least we're talking about Microsoft Surface on Tech News Today. That's a bonus. Our TNT fan of the day is Andrew Ibanez in Lleida, Spain, whom I met at Google Glass at a Google Glass event during Google I/O. He's got a picture of the two of us together doing a grip and grin at the event. That was a really cool event. Met Sergey Brin there. How do you watch or listen to TNT? Just record a video or take a picture of your setup and post it on Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we will find it. You know, I'm really loving these. We're getting a lot of really creative ones. We've got some really cool ones coming up over the next few days, but keep them coming. Even if you've already published one, don't be shy. There's a couple of people out there who've published 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and we love that. So just keep doing it. If you've already done it, keep them coming. We can't get enough of those. Well, that is the Tech News Today. You can subscribe to Tech News Today on so many different places. RSS is a great option. iTunes is another great option. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find all the options at twit.tv/TNT. And you can follow us on Twitter, and you should follow us on Twitter. Tech News Today TV with no spaces, no underscores is our Twitter name. And you can join our Google Plus community. Just search Google Plus for Tech News Today, and you'll find all our stuff there. And please send us your thoughts and opinions. Bring our attention to any comment or post on Twitter, Google Plus, Facebook, using the hashtag Tech News Today, and we'll find that as well. Send email to tnt@twit.tv. Call us at 260-TNT-SHOW. And no matter what you do, don't miss our evening newscast, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific tonight and every weeknight right here on the Twit Network. My name's Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.